Behind the Shades.
My name is Brooke Hengst. I'm a residential real estate here in the Denver, Colorado area. I am a mother of twins. I run a dog rescue, and people can find me at sellwithbrooke.com.
Perfect. So take us from the beginning, right? Like you had a job that was really good. You seem like to have this perfect life, and then something happened. Tell us what
Ooh.
happened.
All right. So from the beginning, I will say I moved to Colorado from Texas back in 2009. And if you can remember what was happening, there was an economic recession. Everything was in the toilet. I was moving from Texas to Colorado to sell real estate. I'd never been to Colorado. I'd never sold real estate before in my life. So it was all an adventure to unfold. So fast forward about, let's see, 5, 6, 7 years. I was a new business owner, got my business up and running, built a highly successful real estate business. Ended up having twin girls in the mix of that, had my children. And then I remember in 2017 thinking, you know what? I've got this figured out. I sold 35 houses that year. I was traveling every other month. I had beautiful baby girls, but something didn't quite feel right still. And so the following year was when life kind of imploded. My marriage fell apart. I became, in a very hostile divorce situation, very high conflict, very financially devastating. And all for me to realize that I really built a business to escape my life because I wasn't happy in that moment. Does that make sense?
It does because I've been there. Like I haven't been married or divorced, but I can understand like when you're in a relationship and then you reach that point because it's always interesting, right? Like we can look back and say, this is the point where I knew I had to leave. Did you have that
Yeah,
point?
I did. And I'll tell you about it. It was, I had been traveling every 6 to 8 weeks. I was going to Mexico. And, it was one of those things where I was married at the time. And my husband would say, hey, you go replenish you go refuel you, and come back to us and do what you do best, which is sell a lot of houses. And I remember on a trip, I was with some dear friends, and I remember being on a catamaran out in the Caribbean Sea. The water was beautiful. The drinks were flowing. It was sunny. I was laughing. And I remember the moment where I thought, wow, who is this girl? Who's this woman? Why can I not be this woman at home? How do I replicate this joy, this passion, this vigor, this freedom, all of this? How do I replicate that back home? So I literally remember thinking, okay, I got to go back home. I got to figure out how to be this person. And as you know of things, how they unfolded, there was no being that person in that life because ultimately it wasn't meant to be, And that was a hard thing to grasp because I felt like I had to make this work. I had to be the mom. I had to be the wife. I had to be what everybody saw from the outside of what was portrayed. I had to be that. And in that moment, I realized I'm not that. So then that led to a whole nother thing of feeling like a phony and feeling like a fake and, lots of therapy within the mix of that. But that was the moment for me.
There are times where before the marriage or before the relationship, when it becomes serious, we know who we are because we're wearing that hat. Like you were Brooke before the children, before you're a mother, before you're a wife, before you got married. I'm Terrain before I'm in a relationship. And then there are times where you see glimpses of that person and you're like, who is that? I remember that
Right.
person, right? And
Yeah.
then you try to bring that person out and kind of have them be like a mesh between
Mhm.
yourself, a mother, and a wife. But then unfortunately, what happens to a lot of us is we either realize that that person is no longer here with us, or
Mhm.
that person unfortunately has been kind of stuffed in the closet as we're being someone that we don't necessarily want to be anymore. Did you have that revelation where you're like, I can't be this version of Brooke because I know the happier version and I've seen it when I went on my trip?
I totally did. And I denied it for a long time because I was in that societal pressure of feeling like I had to make it work. And I remember going through therapy, and years before my divorce, my therapist actually said, have you considered divorce? And I said, oh, no, I will make this work. I will sit miserable in my relationship because I will keep my family together. I will not go that route. I will make it work. And I remember at that time, my kids were like 2. And I thought, okay, I can make this work till they're 18, till they're graduated high school. And, that's 15 more years. I got it. Then the next year I was like, all right, that's 14 more years. I can do it. And then the next year was 13 years. And that's when everything imploded. And that's when I realized that this life thing is about growth if we allow it. We have to grow into different stages of our own evolution to be able to do the things in life we want. I could not have run, a multiple 6-figure real estate business when I was fresh out of college. I wasn't equipped to do that. I couldn't be the mom I am right now, 5, 6, 7 years ago with the life I was. So it's that opportunity to grow and know that, yeah, I'm still Brooke, but I'm not that version that I used to be. And I have the opportunity to be a better version with more opportunity,
I know there's times where when my relationship has ended, I kind of taken time for myself. I said, Terrain,
Yes.
you need to recover from this. And then there's other people that's like, I am going to go wild. All those guys, all those girls I've turned down, come back my way. Right. And you try to balance it because you don't want to be who you were, because that person who you were is tied to a relationship that is no longer there. Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to go back to the person that you were way before you started that relationship, because you're like, I'm not experienced. I'm not the mom that I am today. I am not the woman that I am today. I'm not the man that I am today. When you look back, what are some of the things that you discovered about yourself that you're like, is that me? Is that Brooke thinking this way and doing these things?
So I really discovered that I had lost sight of who the belief I actually was. I really question that. I'm like, wow, who is this person? And I think part of it is the maternal instinct as moms and as women. We throw ourselves into our relationships. We throw ourselves into being parents and doing for others and serving others. And for me, honestly, I took a very toxic approach to that. I served the community. I served my clients. I served my family. I would serve every single person I could because I wasn't ready to serve myself, because I didn't know who that person was. And so, exiting out of 2018, that was the year of, the let's just be real, shit hit the fan. It was the year of life imploded, life changed. I had 2 5-year-olds that I was having to now tell, look, mom and dad are not going to be married anymore. You're going to have 2 houses. Like, those were brutal conversations to have. And I had to harness my own inner strength to really show up as that woman, to be able to confidently navigate the direction that we were going as a family. So yeah, there were moments that I'm like, wow, whose life is this? Who am I? And then that was the next level of evolution and growth after a painful, traumatic, financially devastating divorce.